Kate here for my April wrap-up, and I read a fair amount, so I'll just get right into the books. And the first one that I read in the month of April was Brat Farrar by Josephine Tey, and this was my second Josephine Tey, and it is a standalone, and one that, had it not been written so eloquently, could have been incredibly boring. It is just about this family who live in the countryside, and when the children were all young, the parents died in a tragic accident. And after that, one of the twins, the older twins who was around 8 at the time, 11 at the time, committed suicide, and the family, you know, has been kind of grieving him ever since. And someone who knows the family well, 8 years later, talks this boy who looks very much like this twin who passed away into posing as him and saying that he ran away. He didn't commit suicide because they never found the body, and so he ran away and just to act like him. And so you know, he goes in, the reader goes in knowing exactly that this person is a fake and that they aren't who they say they are. And so it could have been incredibly boring, but just the way that she wrote it, the tension building was fabulous. And since it is, you know, written from the golden age, you would think maybe there wouldn't be as much character development as she does have, but she has a lot of character development, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just a little gem. It was less than 300 pages, so it was very short, but just really packed a punch. And like I said, the tension building was amazing. This is the second Josephine Tey that I've read, and it really feels like you're reading an Alfred Hitchcock movie whenever you're reading her books. So definitely enjoyed that, and I do recommend it. And the next one that I read and I did a review on was The Pursuit of Love by Nancy Mitford. I really enjoyed this one, and I went in apprehensive because the only Nancy Mitford I'd read I hadn't enjoyed, but I'm so glad I gave her another try, and I really enjoyed The Pursuit of Love. So I'll link my review down below if you are curious and you would like to see that. The next one that I read is Messenger of Truth by Jacqueline Winspear. This is book number 4 in the Maisie Dobbs mystery crime historical fiction series, and this one was really good. It did have some especially heartbreaking things in it. It starts out where there is an artist, and he falls from the scaffolding he's been using to put up a big triptych exhibit that's going to showcase that he's shown to no one. And it looks like an accident at first, but of course, since it's a Maisie Dobbs, it is not an accident, and Maisie has to investigate the case. As always, there is so much character development with Maisie, and I really appreciate that about this series. I really feel that we get to know her. Her personal life is a little bit sad at this point, so I would love for her to kind of have more going on in her personal life, but she also is someone who finds great reward in helping people, and so I kind of think at this point she's okay just being a career woman and having that be the thing that drives her in her life. So I'll be curious to see kind of if anything changes about her life in the future, but for now, that she's happy being where she is. But it's a great, if you like, you know, historical settings for mysteries, this is a great series to go to. And the audiobooks are excellent. That's how I've read all 4 thus far. So can't wait to get on to the next books in the series. The next one that I read was a YA fantasy, and that is Finnikin of the Rock by Melina Marchetta. This was a buddy read with the lovely Kate from the novel Nomad, and this one was so-so for me. Now, you know, basically the only YA fantasy series that I've read to completion is The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and that is kind of my litmus test for all other YA fantasy. So this definitely it was no Lunar Chronicles, but it was a really cool world. The only thing that Kate and I both said is it felt very rushed. During the traveling passages, it was basically they were traveling and then all of a sudden they were there, and there just seemed like there could have been more with character development. It just felt rushed to the end, but I definitely did enjoy it enough to be intrigued to go on to the next one. And it's basically about a fallen kingdom and a corrupt government that's now ruling the kingdom, and people trying to bring it back to its, you know, former glory. So it was definitely interesting, and I think we'll be reading the next one, which is Froy of something. I can't remember it, but we'll be reading the next one this, you know, summer months. So hopefully we'll enjoy that. And then the next one that I read and I'm going to be doing a full review on is Queen Lucia and Miss Mapp. This is a bind up of these two books, Queen Lucia and Miss Mapp by E.F. Benson, the first 2 out of 6 Mapp and Lucia books. Can't wait to do a review for this, tell you guys more about this fabulous modern classic that I'm so glad that I made time for it this spring. And then next I read The September Society by Charles Finch. This was a buddy read with Kate from the novel Nomad, and it is the second in the Charles, I get mixed up because both the author and the protagonist names are Charles, but the Charles Lennox series. This is set in Victorian England, and Kate and I have both said that this is a very gentle mystery series. It's very quiet. It feels rather Victorian though, so I really enjoyed this. I did not enjoy this, unfortunately, as much as the first one, simply because the mystery that Charles Lennox is solving is there is a murder, and it's connected with something that happened around 20 years ago. And so it felt a little bit distant and at arm's length, and I had trouble being like fully engaged in something that's happened so long in the past. And it happened in India, and he didn't travel to the original location. This happens in Maisie Dobbs, but she travels to the like original location where it happened. It kind of kept me more engaged. So definitely still enjoyable, but not as enjoyable as the first. The romance in here, as always, is really sweet, and so I can't wait to see what happens with him in the third one, which takes place at Christmas time. So Kate and I will be reading that in the month of December, which will be really fun. But that means we will have to last then until December, not reading another in this series. Either way, we're looking forward to it. The next one that I read that the lovely Dean Street Press, specifically Furrowed Middlebrow, sent me is Seaview House by Elizabeth Fair. This was a lovely, delightfully quaint and gentle read. If you love modern classics, you will love this. I can tell you right now. So if you like The Enchanted April, which is kind of at a slower pace, or I Capture the Castle, which I think can be kind of slow to some people, I think you will enjoy this. If you don't like those, you won't like this. So it's definitely a very niche interest, but it's just about these 2 sisters who are running Seaview House. It's a little teeny hotel on the seashore and in England, and things are really tight financially. Then they have a daughter. The one sister has a daughter, and in addition to that, they have a close friend who visits them regularly, and his godson visits and starts to kind of fall in love with his daughter, and the godfather is not very pleased with it. So lots of little funny, quippy observations. I definitely enjoyed it, and I am curious to check out more Elizabeth Fair to see kind of what her plots are like. And yeah, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I do recommend it if you love modern classics. The next one that I read and loved just as much as the first in the series, in the trilogy, is Birds, Beasts, and Relatives by Gerald Durrell. This is the second in his Corfu trilogy, and like I said, enjoyed it just as much as the first. And then reading this after watching the BBC like mini-series of this, they made the plot a lot more stressful than the book is. There is a part in this where, so there's, in case you don't know, I'm jumping ahead of myself, this is about the Durrell family who were just tired of living in like rainy, gloomy England in springtime, and so they moved to the Mediterranean Greek island of Corfu, and there's the mother who's a single mother, she's widowed, and then there are the children, Larry, aka Lawrence, who is a famous author as well, Leslie, I forgot the daughter's name for a second, goodness, Margot, and then Jerry, who is the author. He's the one writing this memoir, and just he is obsessed with nature and sees so many cool creatures. And let me tell you, it was not a good experience. I happened to be reading about this like sea turtle that was rotting in the ocean, and he finds it while I was eating my breakfast. That was not the best timing. And it definitely has some interesting things in here, like you hear more than you would ever want to know about what mating slugs are like. If you were ever curious about that, you can learn all about it in here. I was not curious about it before, and I feel very well informed now. But it makes it more stressful. So Larry is definitely like a eccentric, quirky, artistic type. You know, he is an author, and he has a friend come to visit, and after the friend leaves, he talks about him being gay, and the mom is like, oh my goodness, he was gay. I can't believe you'd let him hang around our family. And that's all that it was. In the miniseries, they make the gay friend to be closeted, and also like he tricks the mom into becoming engaged to him, and like he's gonna trick her into this loveless marriage. And it was so stressful, and it's not in this book at all. He just visits, and so I definitely enjoyed the book way more. It was like a lot lower of stress. So yes, I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend it, and I was really pleased that I enjoyed it just as much as the first one. That's a fear I have when going through series, you know, that I won't enjoy the subsequent ones as much, but I definitely enjoyed it. Okay, then 2 mysteries that I read that I'll be doing reviews on these 2, just because they're just kind of, I think if you're interested in one, you'll be interested in the other. And the first is And Only to Deceive by Tasha Alexander. This was one that was on my list of mysteries that I wanted to try. And it's a Victorian setting and so much fun. I read it in a day. And then the other one that I also read in a day was After the Armistice Ball by Catriona McPherson. And this is the first in the Dandy Gilver series. This is more set in 1930s England, and can't wait to tell you guys about both of them. Then another mystery I read was The Last Bus to Woodstock by Colin Dexter. This was also on my list of mystery series to try. And another one that I read, I think I read this in 2 days, but only because I was reading other things. This is the first in the Inspector Morris series, and it is a more hard-boiled literary series, which I'd been reading a lot of cozies, so it was really refreshing to read this. And I could not put it down. It was excellent. It starts out where there's just someone who has been murdered, and you get to meet Inspector Morris and, you know, all of the staff that he works with. And his personality just really stuck out to me. He had this really subtle, dry humor, and it just was very unexpected whenever he made a joke. And so since it was unexpected, it made it all the more fun. And just really, this just was a gem. It was a gem. And so there's a reason I get, you know, why the Inspector Morse series has such a reputation. So I cannot wait to continue on with this series, and I'll definitely be doing so in the very near future. Then one that I read that was cute, but I don't know much more to say about it, is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. It's just not my typical thing. It was very cute. I thought the writing was all right, but I had a lot of trouble like caring and giving lots of emotional energy to a teenage romance. And I know that sounds so cynical, but that's just how it is. So it was cute, and if you like YA contemporary, I think you will enjoy this. And then let's see, look at my handy dandy notebook. Anything else I forgot? Oh, I read the next in the Agatha Raisin series. This is number 6, Agatha Raisin and the Terrible Tourist, and Agatha travels to Greece. And this one was amusing, as all of them. I'm just amused whenever I read these. They're so much fun, and the audiobooks are so good that I have access via Hoopla or Overdrive to pretty much all of them on audiobook, and it's just so nice when I'm too tired to read at night just to like put one of those on and I still get to read something. It was just so much fun. I'm so amused by that series. It's such a laugh. Okay, and then a book I'll also be doing a full review on is George Eliot's Daniel Deronda. I finished this, guys. I finished it, and I can't wait to give more of my thoughts in my review of this. So I was a little scatterbrained during this wrap up. Hopefully I conveyed everything okay, and I will see you guys for a review and other videos coming up soon, and I hope you have a lovely day and are enjoying these first few days of May.